Well, friends, hello from a different car in a different part of Colorado with Terra sleeping in the background like a little angel. This week's video is gonna be a little bit different. I am heading into the mountains currently after leaving the vet a couple of hours away from where we've been staying to go and take a night off in the woods and just recenter. I think this is the longest that I haven't been like camping in months, maybe even the past year. And I think it's gonna feel really nice for us both to just get some fresh air, stretch our legs, and enjoy some peace and quiet. So finally, after 2 hours of driving the Peak to Peak Highway back and forth between Ned and Estes Park, we made it to camp. It's really snowy up here, honestly, for late season compared to what I thought it might be, which is not necessarily ideal for keeping a rental car clean, but she's having a blast. It's so beautiful. It's so silent up here. And it actually looks like we might get a little bit of rain, but this car might just be the perfect car for car camping. This hatch makes me feel like even if it starts raining, we could probably keep it open because of the way that it's curved. The back seats are massive, and I don't think we even have to set up my tent tonight, which is kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. I was looking forward to sleeping on the ground, but it's cold up here. There is snow everywhere, and I might just sleep inside, if I'm being honest, to stay warm with Terra. So we got a lot to get done in the next hour or so. I want to cook dinner, I'm gonna get camp set up and settle in for the night. So you realize this setup probably does not seem like much, and most of you are probably used to seeing me camping out in a full-blown, built-out, fancy, with running water rig. I think Tara sees something in the forest, and she really wants to go get it. But this setup is so luxurious compared to what I started in, and by that I don't mean my van, but the very first time I ever went car camping in my Subaru, and then in my RAV4, and then in my empty van that didn't have any running water or a toilet or really much else other than a bed platform. So I'm feeling pretty good about this setup. Honestly, I'm so impressed by the Mazda's capacity. There's just so much space, and this might just be the most comfortable sleep I've ever had in a car. I'll report back tomorrow morning with that, of course, but I just think that I'll be able to stretch all the way out. I can sit up. It's just so spacious. And don't tell my Toyota, but I'm kind of obsessed with this car. Wait. 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 So let me just apologize for the terrible nighttime lighting. Obviously, long term, I would need to figure out something better than just the internal cabin lights. But as far as a car camping setup goes, I think this is probably the most comfortable. You can probably barely see Terra there in the back, and like this is how much space we still have. There is absolutely no question as to whether or not this car is comfortable, and if we took the seats out, if we built a platform in it, honestly, like maybe a car, an all-wheel drive car would be the way to go in the future. Obviously it's dark out, you can kind of see the trees in the outline back behind us, and I don't have great lighting, so I'm not really going to film tonight, but I did thankfully think ahead and downloaded a movie offline so I can watch something tonight before I fall asleep, and it feels very fitting for this phase of my life. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, that was probably some of the better sleep I've ever gotten in the back of a car. I slept through the entire night, which I don't think has ever happened again in a car. It's just really comfy in here, but I did wake up to the sound of wind and snow. And it has been kind of like snow, hail, rain, like a mix of springtime slurry on us for the past hour. And I've just been sitting in bed because I haven't really wanted to go outside and get super wet. And I don't really want her to get super wet. It's just not that ideal to wipe the inside out. But I think I've procrastinated long enough. It does seem like the snow is slowing down. The car is a mess. I'm a mess. I'm gonna do what I can from inside before I go out just to try to keep things as dry as possible, but it's gonna be interesting because even though I'm saying this is a big car, it is still a car. It's okay. That was loud, huh? That was so loud. It's okay. That was so loud. That was so loud. Does anyone else get super swollen eyes when they're out camping? I don't know if it's allergies. I've never actually had allergies before, but maybe this is just the first year that I'm gonna experience them. Gosh. You guys are actually sitting on the lotion, so move you here. So this morning we have not that much to do other than like clean up camp in the snow, which is gonna take a little while. Wow, too much lotion. But this afternoon around 2, I have a tour of a place that we might go live in the next month or so. So I'm gonna go tour that place, possibly even sign a lease, which is so crazy to think about spending money on rent again, but with everything that we've had going on, I honestly think that the timing could not be better to have a place to settle into and still, of course, get out camping as much as possible, but to just have a home base for those crazier times. I'll get into it probably over coffee this morning, but Tara's been going through some health stuff that I'm sure if you've been around, you've heard a little bit about, or maybe over on Instagram. So I'll be explaining what's going on there and why we are at least temporarily getting off the road for many reasons, but more specifically for her in a lot of ways. Okay, face lotion on. Hair has looked better, but honestly not the worst considering we literally slept in a car. Let's go. There's your leash. Jesus. So as many of you have heard and seen over the past couple of weeks, almost months at this point, Tara has been going through some unknown health things. And when I say unknown health things, she has lost roughly 10 pounds or so since November, December. She's had these really weird symptoms pop up that I still don't know that they're related necessarily, but just out of the ordinary things. She had a large mass develop on her ear. She had this really terrible reaction to something. We still never figured out what the allergic reaction was, but she had like bleeding sores around her eyes. She had hives or like lumps all down her neck. Just very odd things that I'm not trying to say are not related to things like allergies, but in the 2.5, almost 3 years now that she's been with me, she's never had anything like this happen before. So a few weeks ago, I guess it was about a month now, I noticed this sore that had developed on her ear. And I figured it was just like a skin tag, but thought, you know, with all of these other things going on, I'm gonna go ahead and take her to a vet that my friend recommended while we were up in Leadville. And at first they thought, oh, It's probably nothing, it's probably fine. This happens, you know, she's 2.5. They start to develop little growths on their skin, and as long as it doesn't get any bigger, you know, we're not really that worried about it. They took a biopsy. It was, what is it, malignant? It was benign, not malignant. They took a biopsy, it was benign, there was not any sign that there was a tumor or cancer or anything like that. But while they were there, they thought, you know, she's never had extensive blood work done. If all of these different things are happening, why don't we go ahead and just check? And that was where we found the problem, or what could have been a problem. And I don't remember the exact like line item on the vet bill or the vet record, so I apologize for that, but she had an elevated liver level. They said, you know, that happens sometimes. It could just be that, you know, she had a change in her diet or her body's reacting to something. But just to be safe, why don't you come back in a couple of weeks and we'll go ahead and recheck her. Hopefully by then they're back to normal. And for context, normal range from the paper that the vet that we went to at least showed us, the higher end of that is like 108 or 118. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know all the specifics, but 118 is like the upper level that it should be. And she tested at 208 that first time. So now, 4 weeks later, just yesterday, we went back to the vet and we're really hoping to see lower liver levels. And unfortunately, the opposite happened, and she is now sitting at 214. So obviously still going up. Now, I don't know exactly when this started. I do know that her behavior, her mood, her depression, if you can call it that, just crying, a low whine pretty much constantly throughout the day, has been going on for a few months now. And everyone has told me that it's probably just behavior changes. She's just getting older. But I knew something was wrong. Like, that's just not my dog. You know, she's a happy dog normally, and I could just tell that something wasn't right. And the last thing that I want to talk about is a question that has been popping up over on Instagram in my direct messages a lot, honestly. And that is the question of how I knew something was wrong. And I want to be careful when I share this because I don't want to fearmonger. I don't want to scare people. I know that when something is wrong with your dog, with your pet, it's so overwhelming and so scary, and it's easy to think the worst. Terra had a bad allergic reaction and I was convinced it was cancer. So I am guilty of this as well, but I guess the best advice I can share, or what I did and what tipped me off, was just knowing my dog. I questioned myself a lot because I know she is in that 2 to 3 year range where their personalities are really starting to come out and fully develop now. Their bodies are still changing and filling out and growing. You know, she's just now finished growing at almost 3 years old, according to, you know, the golden retriever growth charts. So there's been a lot of changes, and I questioned myself a lot as to whether or not I was, you know, like a hypochondriac. Am I making this up? I love her so much. Maybe I'm just worried. And for a long time, I convinced myself it was nothing. Even if people were telling me she's probably fine, she's just growing, she's developing, I wanted more than that. I wanted more answers. And I'm so grateful that I did that blood panel, because if I hadn't, we wouldn't have known, you know? We wouldn't have known anything was wrong, because otherwise, aside from those behavior changes and weight changes, which could be attributed to her being in this age group, we may have never known. So, rant over, ramble over. I will be sharing more about her health as we learn more. I'm not gonna make this like a dog health channel, but I know that a lot of you here really do care about Terra almost as much as I do, and I just wanted to update you all and not keep you in the dark until, I don't know, something major or horrible happened. This way you guys can kind of come along for the journey with us and also have more context as to why I'm making such a dramatic change and getting off the road for now. All right, so I know that I mentioned I'd be going to see one apartment, but I actually ended up seeing 3. These are the first 2, both kind of near each other, similar square footage, 1 bed, 1 bath, which is so much preferred to a studio, so I can have an office space, with the only real difference being their location on a busier or quieter street, and the fact that one has a few more windows. So I think I know which one of these 2 I prefer, and definitely both compared to the third one, which was falling apart, had a maintenance door entry, was a studio, and this is the view. Now, at the time of recording this, I actually have chosen an apartment, so let me know in the comments down below which one you think I chose and which one you think I should choose. All right, so I am just now leaving Denver, heading back south towards Colorado Springs, where we're gonna be staying for the next couple of weeks again, and I have a lot to think about. I actually got to tour 3 apartments today, all in different buildings, which I was not planning on. For those who missed it, I'm moving to the Denver/Boulder area. I'm not really sure. And this was my first time actually getting to see anything in person. So a lot to think about and a lot to do before I can move in anywhere. So we're heading home. We're gonna get this car cleaned out and head back to the airport to drop it off. Now, this trip was productive in more ways than I really could have imagined. Not only did I find where Terra and I are going to be spending at least the next 6 months, but likely a year plus, but we also found out everything we can at this time, at least, about her health. We have a long road ahead. We have a lot of decisions to make. Our house, our car, our life is really changing. But I think for now, I am believing that it's all for the best, and I'm really excited for all the changes to come. So thank you for being here for the journey. I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.